Phantom, how's it going? Today we are going to be talking about one of my personal favorite characters, and actually this is a video that is in response to something weird that happened this past week. This past week I actually had two different people ask me, they don't know each other, just completely out of nowhere, ask me, hey, I really want to get into Daredevil, but I don't know where to start. This is a character that has had over 70 years, I think, man, 70 years, 50 years, something like that, of continuity. He's had a long history. Where do I start? Right off the bat, I am going to tell you that you start, if you wanted to go in order by chronologically, you would start with the Frank Miller Daredevil Omnibus. The reason you would start with Frank Miller basically turned Daredevil into a crime-fighting, basically a crime story, because he introduces Bullseye, he introduces Elektra, he retweaks Daredevil's origin. He makes Kingpin the threat that he is today, and you get all of that in this run. This omnibus usually run you about $75 right now. This is Frank Miller at the top of his game, in my opinion. This is pre-Dark Knight Returns and things like that, and pre him going crazy, which he kind of is right now. And for the first few issues, what you'll notice is that Frank Miller actually did not write this series. He just did the art. Eventually, he took over writing and art duties, and his art is actually very well, and it holds up extremely well to today. Let me get you a sample of it real quick. You see Kingpin there. It's very rare that you see something that was drawn like in the 60s and 70s and the art actually holds up extremely well. Another example of that is Jack Kirby. I love Jack Kirby's art, even though some people don't find his anatomy that well, but it's just me. But I think this is a great bang for your buck. You're getting Frank Miller's entire run of Daredevil, including when he was just the artist and he's the writer. And like I said, you introduce Elektra, you introduce Bullseye, you introduce a lot of key characters that come into play later, and you also get the infamous death of Elektra. That really broke a lot of nerds' hearts when that happened. So, start here, then you move on. I should probably mention that you can actually jump onto any of these series with the author and you'd be perfectly fine. Now, after this, if you wanted to go chronologically, you would get the Kevin Smith run. However, I have never read Kevin Smith's run, so I cannot vouch for its credibility personally, but I have heard that it's really good. So, moving on. If you want to get the crime-oriented, the Daredevil that is probably going to be based off of the Netflix series, if that's what rumors are to be believed, you want Brian Michael Bendis' Daredevil. This is Daredevil, the Ultimate Collection. Now, this is coming back in the 2000s. In the early 2000s, Marvel, again, was trying to get out of bankruptcy. They were just getting out of it, and they were like, how can we reinvigorate these characters? In comes Joe Quesada. Now, if the rumor is to be believed, Bendis actually tried to audition for art duties on this, and Joe Quesada said, no, you can't draw. Sorry. So what he did was he's like, but you can write. You're coming off of the indie scene. You're getting a hot streak. Let's give you Daredevil. And he redefined the character for the 2000s. It is a monumental run, and it actually has one of my personal favorite moments with Kingpin, where he is strapped onto the hood of a car and he is flung through a wall. It is awesome. It is so great. What happens in this series also is that Bendis takes the character into a much, much darker tone, and it's very much a crime noir, crime gang story. And in this series, Daredevil is outed. He is outed, and his identity is revealed to the public, and it's very much, how do you put the genie back in the bottle? It also introduces a character that he falls in love with, and he eventually marries, and she's blind as well. So, not going to get into any more spoilers, just trust me on this. This is the modern-day Daredevil run that is awesome. I loved it. I think this is great. There are 3 volumes of this. The art is mostly done by Alex Maleev. Alex Maleev was born to do Daredevil. It is beautifully dark and grisly art. I loved it. So check this out. There are 3 Ultimate collections of it. Luke Cage, Spider-Man, a bunch of characters make an appearance on it. After There's a moment in here where Luke Cage and Spider-Man actually have to step in and say, dude, you need to tone it down. You are doing the most brutal war on crime that New York has ever seen. It is great. I love this run. Definitely check this out. There's 3 volumes of it. That's volume 1, volume 2, and volume 3. Now, if you just want to jump into this run, you don't need to read Frank Miller's run. I will tell you, though, that it starts a bit weird. Stick with it. It is a great payoff. That's volume 3. So definitely get this. Now, you finish Bendis. The next guy that took over for him was Brubaker. The problem was that Brubaker was kind of put in a tight spot because Daredevil is placed in a situation where he is actually locked up in jail and his identity is still basically revealed. How do you handle that? In comes Brubaker, and he does an awesome job to follow up Bendis, where people thought, man, this Brubaker guy, he's good. He's really good, but how does he follow up? He kills it. Does great. If you know Ed Brubaker, he's actually one of the comic's strongest writers. He is basically the creator of the Winter Soldier character, so you're going to like that. This is Brubaker's Daredevil, The Ultimate Collection. This is volume 1. You read that after Bendis's. And basically what you're going to get in this story is a lot more crime. If you think Bendis pushed Daredevil, Brubaker pushes him to the point where Daredevil has almost a nervous breakdown. It just gets darker and darker for the character. If you are a fan of dark crime noir stories, this is where you go. So that's volume 1. Volume 2. Show you the cover of that. And volume 3. He does a lot of the art in this series with Michael Lark. Again, the art is solid. You're going to enjoy this run. So you finish that. Now, what's the next thing you're going to be tempted to pick up? You're going to be tempted to pick up Shadowland. Avoid Shadowland. Avoid it like it is the Black Plague. Shadowland is terrible. What you're going to want to do is you are going to want to jump into Mark Waid and Chris Samnee's version of Daredevil. Right here. This is the ultimate one. This is the hardcover. Mark Waid actually took it in another direction. He's like, hey, let's take Daredevil back to his roots where he's a fun crime stopper. You know, he's going out, he's solving crimes and things like that, and he's helping people. And he's, finally gotten over his depression and the darkness in his life. But he's got to deal with everyday life situations. I'm going to say it, I personally think the art in this run is the best out of all of them that I've read, and that includes Frank Miller, because you are getting Mark Waid, Paulo Rivera, Marcos Martin, just, oh man, amazing, amazing artists in this run. It also introduces, probably has one of the best comics that I've read in the past 5 years, that includes a scene with a bunch of school kids and a snowstorm that, oh, it just gets you in the heart. It is so great. So that's volume 1. Definitely, if you are looking for a fun, you're not into the dark, gritty stuff, you're looking for more of a fun, action-oriented Daredevil, this is the run you want to get, Mark Waid's. So that's volume 1 of that. Now, Mark Waid didn't have a steady artist until a little bit later on, and in jumps Chris Samnee. Chris Samnee's art is unbelievable, and they introduce actually one of my favorite villains, Akiri, later on in the series. Volume 2. And volume 3. This will kind of bring you up to modern day Daredevil, where he is now in California for various reasons that I'm not going to tell you. So you read all that, and I've pretty much just destroyed your wallet. That should catch you up to a lot of what's going on in Daredevil. I hope you enjoyed this video. Comment, subscribe, let me know what you think. Bye.